Where does your focus go? It's a simple question, but the answer holds the key to the quality of your entire life. Think about it. In any given moment, you can always find something to be upset about, a flaw to fixate on, a past regret to relive. But where do you tend to place your attention? Is it on the ghost of yesterday, the promise of tomorrow, or the vibrant reality of right now? We all dance between these three realms: past, present, and future. But where do you spend the majority of your time? For many of us who are driven, who are achievers, the future is our natural habitat. We're constantly planning, striving, reaching for what's next. But here's the paradox. All the joy, all the richness, all the texture of life exists only in the present moment. The future is a concept, a dream. The now is real. Conversely, a vast number of people find themselves trapped in the past, their minds endlessly replaying old tapes of what went wrong, who hurt them, and what they should have done differently. The fundamental problem with this orientation is its utter futility. You cannot change the past. It is a sealed chapter. To constantly focus on it is to chain yourself to what's missing instead of embracing what you have. It's an existence defined by a relentless focus on what you can't control. This brings us to a crucial distinction: the two worlds we all inhabit. There's the external world, the circumstances, the events, the actions of other people. And then there's the internal world, your thoughts, your feelings, your interpretations. We have very little, if any, direct control over the external world. We can certainly influence it, we can nudge it in one direction or another, but we cannot command it. The true domain of our power, the one place where we are the undisputed sovereign, is the world within. Inside of us, we hold the reins. We have the power to control what we focus on. We have the power to decide the meaning of the events that unfold in our lives. We are the meaning makers. And finally, we have the power to decide what to do in response. When you consciously make these three fundamental decisions: what to focus on, what it means, and what to do, you reclaim control of your life. In that space of personal agency, so much of the anxiety, the worry, and the stress that plagues us simply begins to dissolve. This sense of control becomes even more profound and fulfilling when we direct our energy towards serving something larger than ourselves. There's a beautiful, almost magical, alchemy that occurs when our actions are guided by a purpose beyond our own ego. You cannot genuinely serve something more than yourself and not, in turn, benefit immeasurably. Do you want to build your self-esteem? Go out and do something truly worthwhile for someone else, for a cause you believe in, for the betterment of your community. True self-worth is forged in the crucible of meaningful contribution. At the heart of our emotional landscape lie two forces that have the power to destroy everything we hold dear: our relationships, our businesses, our very lives. Those two forces are fear and anger. They are emotional extremes, powerful currents that can sweep us away into darkness. But there is an antidote, a powerful counter-emotion that cannot coexist with them: gratitude. It is a psychological impossibility to be genuinely grateful and fearful at the same time. It is impossible to feel sincere gratitude and blinding anger in the same moment. Gratitude is the light that banishes the shadows. Think about someone who embodies this principle of mastery, someone like Steph Curry. You watch him on the basketball court, and it's like witnessing a form of magic. He'll pull up from what seems like an impossible distance, almost half court, release the ball, and not even wait to see it go in. He turns around and starts to celebrate, a confident wave to the roaring crowd, because he just knows. And then, that perfect sound swish, the crowd erupts. People watch that and they're in awe. He's unbelievable. They say, it's a gift. They label him the greatest three-point shooter in the history of the game, a singular talent unlike any other. But what they often fail to see, what gets lost in the spectacle of the performance, is the staggering amount of work that created that moment of brilliance. That seemingly effortless shot is not a gift. It's the result of an unwavering, relentless, almost unimaginable discipline. For over 15 years, throughout his entire professional career and even before college, Steph Curry has shot a minimum of 500 shots every single day. 7 days a week, that's 500 shots a week. That's over 168 0 shots in a single year. Over his 15-year NBA career, we're talking about more than 2 million practice shots. This is the hidden architecture of his genius. So when he makes those jaw-dropping shots in a game, it's not a miracle. It's the inevitable outcome of a deep, ingrained mastery. He is rewarded in public for what he has practiced tirelessly and obsessively in private. I believe that everything in life happens for a reason. I believe there's a higher purpose at play, a grander design that we may not always comprehend in the moment. And I believe it is our job, our sacred duty, to find that purpose, to uncover the lesson within every experience, both the joyful and the painful. Life, as I see it, happens for us, not to us. It is a series of opportunities, of tests, of invitations to grow. But it is our responsibility to step up and figure it out, to mine the wisdom from our struggles. You will inevitably face battles. You will wrestle with demons within you, and you will confront formidable obstacles in the external world. That is the nature of the human journey. But if you keep going, if you refuse to surrender, you will eventually slay your dragons. You will emerge from the crucible as the hero of your own life story. And when you do, you will have something precious to share with the world. Not a theory you read in a book, not a second-hand piece of advice, but a deep, resonant wisdom that you have lived. People can feel the difference. There's a different level of ownership, of authenticity, that comes from lived experience. And then, just when you think you've arrived, guess what? It happens all over again. A new journey beckons, a new challenge presents itself, a new level of growth is required. It never ends. But that, in its own way, is what makes life so profoundly and endlessly beautiful. So, how can people who are perpetually hard on themselves, who live with a constant inner critic, learn to build up their self-esteem? Frankly, I'm not sure that self-esteem is the right target. I don't think being hard on yourself is inherently a bad thing, as long as you also take the time to celebrate your victories, to acknowledge your progress. The problem is that many of us have a selective memory. We cling to the negative feedback, the criticisms we received as children, the moments we failed. It's almost convenient to remember those things and to conveniently forget the praise, the encouragement, the moments of triumph that also occurred. I think a more powerful and sustainable approach is to understand that genuine self-esteem is not something that can be given to you. It is something that must be earned. It is earned in the quiet, private moments of your life, in the contract you make with yourself. You won't develop lasting self-esteem because people shower you with praise. Someone can tell you your entire life that you are brilliant, that you are beautiful, that you are a genius. And if you don't believe it on a fundamental level, their words will be meaningless. Conversely, someone can tell you that you are worthless, that you will never amount to anything, and you can use that negativity as fuel. You can adopt and I'll show you a mentality, as so many successful people have done, and forge that criticism into an unstoppable drive. True, unshakable self-esteem comes from one place and one place only: doing incredibly difficult things. It comes from pushing yourself to your absolute limits, from knowing in the core of your being that you gave it your all. This isn't about virtue signaling or boasting about your accomplishments. It's about what you know to be true about yourself, in the silent witness of your own soul. The more you take on challenges that are truly difficult, especially challenges that are meaningful, that is, they serve a purpose beyond your own self-interest, the more your self-esteem will naturally and organically grow. Perhaps the most potent strategy for building self-esteem is to find something you care about more than you care about yourself. When you discover a mission, a cause, a purpose that is larger than your own individual concerns, you stop thinking about yourself all the time. The incessant self-analysis, the worry about how you're perceived, the constant measuring of your own worth, it all just fades into the background. Your focus shifts from me to we, from self-preservation to service. In that shift, the fragile ego and its anxieties simply dissolve. This leads us to the ultimate question, the one that should guide our every action. What do you truly want? If you desire an extraordinary life, and my definition of that is a life lived on your own terms, then you must first define what those terms are. For some, an extraordinary life is 3 beautiful children and a white picket fence. For others, it's building a multi-billion-dollar empire. For someone else, it might be a quiet life dedicated to writing poetry. There is no one-size-fits-all definition of success or fulfillment. Instead of looking to others for the blueprint, you must look within. What do you, in the depths of your heart, really want from the precious and fleeting time you have on this earth? Once you have that clarity, the next step is to align your actions, your habits, and your choices with moving relentlessly in that direction. And if you can do that in a way that you feel is also serving others, contributing to the well-being of the world in some small or large way, then you will tap into a sense of meaning that is irreplaceable. It's a feeling of purpose that no amount of money, fame, or external validation can ever hope to replicate. It is the feeling of a life well lived. Being tough on yourself, truly and overly tough, almost always stems from a place of flawed comparison. We look at someone else's life, a life that has followed a completely different path, been shaped by a totally different set of experiences, and we use it as a yardstick against our own. It's a game we can never win. We all grow and develop in different stages, blossoming at different times and in different ways. We all want different things from this life. The sooner you can wake up to this truth, the sooner you can find peace. It's one thing to be strong with yourself, to hold yourself to a high standard, but constantly beating yourself up does nothing but drain your energy. And when your energy is low, your productivity plummets, your joy evaporates, and the impact you hope to have on the world diminishes. The excitement, the vitality you crave, simply cannot coexist with relentless self-criticism. So, while I believe it's important to earn your own self-respect through your actions, I don't think self-esteem is the ultimate secret. The real secret, the key to unlocking a life of profound energy and fulfillment, is to find something you can obsess about that is bigger than yourself. When you discover a mission, a cause, a creation that you care about more than your own ego, you tap into a wellspring of energy that is virtually inexhaustible. It becomes a force that compels you forward, not just for a day or a week, but over the long, arduous, and beautiful journey of your life. Think about the fuel that drives you. When I first started on my path, I was powered by a fiery, reactive fuel. It was an "I'll show them" mentality, an anger that drove me to prove my worth to a world I felt had underestimated me. But that kind of fuel, born of anger and resentment, doesn't last. It's volatile and it burns out, often leaving you feeling empty. The next type of fuel many people turn to is the drive to succeed. But often, lurking just beneath the surface is a subtle fear. What if I don't make it? This fear-based motivation is a constant push against potential failure, rather than a confident pull towards certain success. It's a world away from the quiet knowingness that comes from giving your absolute all every single day, trusting that your gifts will carve out a space for you in the world. It's a deep, seated faith that everything is and will be okay. Then there's the next level of evolution. This is the stage where you begin to truly know who you are, not as a concept, but as a deep, unshakable reality. You're no longer trying to prove anything, not to yourself and certainly not to others. Your motivation shifts from a place of need to a place of service. You just want to help, to contribute, to create. This is the profound difference between what I call push motivation and pull motivation. Push is the gritty, determined effort of making things happen through sheer force of will. And while willpower is a powerful tool, one that I know you possess in abundance, it has its limits. It's a finite resource that can be depleted. Pull motivation, on the other hand, is limitless. Pull is what happens when you are drawn towards something magnificent, something you are utterly obsessed with serving, creating, or making a reality. This kind of energy doesn't wane. It doesn't require constant stoking. It is a self-sustaining fire. It allows you to navigate the inevitable challenges with a sense of grace, to laugh and to find joy along the way, because the journey itself becomes a reward. A fundamental principle to understand is this: wherever focus goes, energy flows. It may sound like a cliché, but its truth is undeniable. Perhaps a more accurate way to phrase it is that we don't experience life in its totality. We experience the life we choose to focus on. In any given moment, the world presents us with a duality. What's wrong is always available for our attention, but so is what's right. The choice of where to place our focus is ours alone. This isn't about a naive, Pollyanna-ish positivity. It's about being intelligent. It's about consciously assessing the impact of your beliefs and your focus. You have to ask yourself, where is my attention going? I can always find a reason to be upset. I can always find something that isn't perfect. But, just as easily, I can always find something to be joyous or, at the very least, grateful for. And gratitude is the fertile ground from which joy springs. The key is to learn how to discipline your disappointments. Don't water them, don't nurture them, don't allow them to grow into overwhelming monsters. Acknowledge them, learn from them, and then consciously shift your focus and move on, using whatever life has given you as a tool for growth. By making simple, conscious shifts in your patterns of focus, you can radically change the entire quality of your life. The moment you focus on something, your brain is forced to assign it a meaning, and that meaning is what creates your emotion. And your emotions, ultimately, are the fabric of your life. The quality of your life is, and always will be, the quality of your emotions. We all have a pattern of focusing, at times on what we have, and at other times on what's missing. Which do you think occupies the minds of most people? Overwhelmingly, it's the latter. We are conditioned to see the gaps, the deficiencies, the things we lack. You can, however, consciously engineer your life to experience more happiness and fulfillment. A significant part of this challenge lies in letting go of the desperate need to be taken seriously. That need is almost always a direct representation of your deepest fears. I believe that true spiritual development, and I'm not speaking in a religious sense, can be measured by the level of comfort you have with simply being your authentic self. This is no easy task. We live in a world that constantly pressures us to be something else, to project an image, to chase an ideal. But the profound irony is that we already are the something we are so desperately trying to become. This doesn't mean we can't improve or grow, but it starts with a radical acceptance and deep appreciation for who and what we are right now. When you can let go of the projection and simply be, An immense amount of pain and tension drains from your body. While a multitude of fears simply vanish into thin air. There is no easy, prescribed path to this state of being. I believe it is the hero's journey, a personal quest of self, discovery and integration. My personal philosophy is this: I work my absolute hardest. I pour everything I have into my preparation and my effort. I do my part, and then I let go. I open myself up and say, okay, now come through me, let's do this together. And when I adopt that state of surrendered effort, things tend to flow. It's the difference between feeling like life is happening to you, a series of random, often cruel events, and understanding that life is happening for you. It's a powerful and life-altering reframe. But this wisdom isn't handed to you on a silver platter. You have to dig for it. It has to be earned. Wishing for confidence without first building competence is nothing more than delusion. You can't just hope to feel confident. You must build a body of evidence through action and experience that proves you are capable. If you truly value freedom, you cannot possibly attain it as long as you occupy the role of the victim. Your past, your circumstances, none of that defines who you are. None of that has ultimate control over where you go in your life. Have you ever had something happen in your life that was, at the time, utterly horrible? An experience so painful you would never want to go through it again, and you wouldn't wish it upon anyone you care about. But then, 5 or 10 years later, you look back on that very same event, and while you still wouldn't want to repeat it, you can see the wisdom in it. You realize that it changed you in a profound way. It made you stronger. It made you more compassionate. It forged something new and valuable within you. I'm sure you can relate to that feeling. It's a strange and fascinating process of discovery. For a long time, you don't even realize the impact of these past events. It's just life. Then, as you learn more about yourself, you start to see all the ways you've had to compensate for those early wounds, all the ways they've held you back, all the limiting beliefs you've formed about yourself. You get caught in the trap of if only. If only that hadn't happened, then I would be here or I would be there. But then, you begin to see the other side of the coin. You realize that the light side of all that darkness, the strengths you are most proud of, were often forged in those very fires. The fact that you may have felt alone in childhood might be the very reason you are so fiercely self-sufficient as an adult. The fact that you had no one to support you might be why you have no fear of betting on yourself and forging your own path. And so on, and so on. You find yourself in this strange, paradoxical loop. You go from a state of unconscious incompetence, where you are unaware of how a past trauma is affecting you, to a conscious awareness of how it has held you back. Then, you move to an awareness of how it has, in fact, propelled you forward. Finally, you arrive at a very difficult but profoundly liberating place. It's a place where you have to hold two contradictory ideas in your mind at the same time. It's a kind of psychological superposition. You have to acknowledge that this thing happened and it was wrong, and you wish it hadn't, and yet, simultaneously, you are deeply grateful that it did. You can't collapse it down into a simple "it was good" or "it was bad." You have to hold both truths. You have to be able to say that shouldn't have happened. I wish my 12-year-old self never had to experience that. If the person you are today could travel back in time, you would wrap that child in a hug and say, I believe in you. You don't deserve this. But in the same breath, you would have to acknowledge, but this needs to happen to you. It is part of your path. Now, I don't believe that every single event is predestined. I believe situations are meant to be, that we are presented with a series of challenges and opportunities. And then, the choice is ours. It is our job to choose how we are going to use those experiences, or be used by them. And in that choice lies all the difference. We will all face easy times, and we will all face tough times. That is the rhythm of life. And if you have done the difficult work of knowing who you are, of integrating your past, and of finding your purpose, you can navigate it all with an incredible sense of peace.